Hello everyone, you're welcome once again to Sisterhood and Self episode 2. I remain Patience Abiloan Tuni, and of course my friend is here.
Grace was here.
Yes, we're happy to be here once again.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for following us up, as many of you that are able to follow on YouTube and on Instagram, liking and also commenting and also watching the entire video from beginning to the end. One of our community member also in the section mentioned that he's waiting for when we're going to deal on brotherhood, and we intend to bring that. We're going to do it eventually, so we'll keep that in mind. So until then.
Yeah. So another community member also dropped a comment and said, "What about we women that do not really care about female friendships?" And I would say that it's normal. It's okay if you don't have female friendships,
Yes.
but when you eventually find one girl or one woman or one lady that you like very well, you definitely get to bond and you enjoy the benefits of female friendships.
You wouldn't even know you've built that bond, but you eventually build it. So moving on to today, please tell us what's the topic. Tell us
Yeah, so
what
on
we're discussing
today's
today.
episode of Sisterhood and Self, we'll be discussing about boundaries and modern friendships.
Yes, we're discussing boundaries and modern friendships. Yes. So moving on, of course we know boundaries. I mean, we can brief them on what boundaries is. Basically, it's just having a limit to how far your relationship can go, or
Yeah.
how far your friendship can go, or how far the person how far you can be able to allow secrecy in the midst of that friendship that you have.
Yeah.
So yes, as we'll be moving forward. So yes, on boundaries, right? Why is it hard for women to say no to friends?
Oh, okay. I would say that why it's always very difficult for you to say no to your friend is because you feel that you don't want the person to feel bad.
Okay.
You've been sharing so much together, you share secrets, you do a lot of things together, and then maybe the person has something the person needs from you that you may really not want to give to the person. So coming out to say no to the person, you might begin to feel guilt. There's this guilt that you might end
Maybe
up
you don't want to
feeling.
hurt your friend.
Yes, you don't want to hurt your friends.
What about
feelings,
times
so.
where saying no it's really needed?
Yeah, and that's where the boundaries is coming in.
Okay.
You have to know when to say no. It's not every time, yes, 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 yes. And then at the end of the day, you're hurting yourself or you're not happy about always saying yes.
Okay.
So there are times where you should say no, and that is where the boundaries come
And I
in.
also think
And then when you're saying no, please explain to the person so that the person understands why you're
understand,
saying no.
yes.
When the person is able to see it from your viewpoint, the person might understand.
And
Some people may not, but
a good friend should be able to understand when your no is
exactly.
no and when your yes is yes.
Yeah.
So, but okay, it's hard saying no, but then regardless, most of the time we have to kind of put ourselves first and also put the person first,
Yeah.
knowing how, and then having understanding who that person is kind of helps you to know how to approach your saying no. Just like when you have someone who is very blunt,
Yeah.
and you need to say no in a way that they can relate properly. So I think you can ask the
Okay.
second question.
All right. So the next question is, what does a healthy boundary sound like in a friendship? What does a healthy boundary sound like in a friendship to you as a friend?
I think saying no, but then saying it in a way that is appealing.
Yeah, not brutal.
Not say not brutal. Not just
Yeah.
saying no immediately. Like sometimes you can try to bring in a scenario that helps the person understand
Understands.
why you are
I
saying
say
no
no.
at that moment. Take for instance, your friend asks you for an amount of money,
Yeah.
and it could be that that's your first time, or it could be that you're used to helping each other out,
Yeah.
you know, monetarily or something. I think we used to do that. Like
Yeah.
I always
That's
would call you when I'm in the midst of, and then so when you have a friend that is in need of money and probably you do not have enough resources at that time to give them as much. Say they call you and they need their 50,000 naira, for example. I remember the last time I asked you for money, and at that moment you didn't really have that amount,
Yeah.
but then you went ahead to say, how about, is it still relevant
Yeah.
3 days from now? Would you be able to hold on until 3 days from now, 2 days from now? And then at the end of the day, you still were able to come through for me. So I think the way you approach saying no,
Yeah.
it's as simple as if you did not have that very time,
Time.
but the way you answer, like
Answer.
going forward to it, just creates that understanding that I know this person really cares that
Yeah.
much to still be able to provide, regardless of the fact they cannot meet my need at that particular time. So I think understanding the person is important, and then knowing how to say the no, not just coming out just saying it like that, because it might be the person's last hope.
Exactly.
Yes, I think that's so
Yeah.
have you ever lost a friendship because of boundaries?
Yes. There are many a times where you lose people or you lose friends, especially those that choose not to understand.
So but you personally, have you lost a friend because of boundary? Maybe they were too invasive. Maybe you had a boundary for them, but they were too invasive, like they would come into your boundary and
Um,
you know.
Technically, no. I've actually lost friends due to other reasons, but not really as a result of boundaries. But that does not really mean that um I don't set boundaries with my friends. I do. I remember there was a period where my friend felt that I was not always there for her. Like she was always there. I never saw it like that, but she felt she was always there for me. She would give me the attention and
Yeah.
everything I need.
Yes.
And then when it was time for me to be there for her and other things, I wasn't always there. And somehow it led to I would say a stretch in the
But
friendship.
were
We
you
were still
really not
friends.
there, or you were there but she couldn't see
I,
it?
I,
Maybe
I,
she
I
expected
think
too
I think she
much,
expected more than
more
I
than
was
what you
offering
could
at
give
that
at that
point, and
moment.
that eventually led to the stretch. We're
Yeah.
still friends, but like I said,
There's always
there's
going to be,
always
there's always that
a
point of
stretch.
we might not be able to go back to how we used to be, but
Yeah,
then we just stay. I think
definitely.
for me, I'm very, I don't know, I'm very careful my things. So like I feel like if I leave something here, I want to come and sit. So when I have a friend that is very invasive, it takes me time to accept that reality,
Initial shock.
especially if the person is someone um who has gone way has done a lot for
For
me.
me.
I've seen the person being a friend in need like almost most of the time. And then suddenly, let me use a scenario of friends who wear each other's clothes, for
Clothes.
example. I for once don't even within my siblings, it's a big it's just a big
You turn
just
off.
just wait for me to dash you clothes, or wait for me to say okay,
Wow,
I'm okay
quite
with
a
this one
turn
before.
off.
But just coming and going into my, I do not like it. But then I have this friend, I'm not going to mention her name, but I know when she watches this video she'll know she's the one. She does not just care.
You would come and scatter
We are
everything.
that close, but then I do not really touch her things, like, because it's a turn off for me. So I feel if I don't do it, you should be able to understand. But she doesn't care, and it doesn't really affect our friendship because I just know that okay, this is who this person is. I have accepted it, as much as it pains me sometimes, and I say it out. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Why can't you just stick to? But then I feel like ladies, because we all grew up having this idea that now we just, it's very important that you pay attention to your friend, understand when they are trying to create a boundary to certain things. It might just be something as little as relationship,
Yeah.
like I'm having I mean relationship with the opposite sex, for example, a romantic or love relationship, and I just, there are certain limits to what I want you to be in on, but then you want to be in on every other thing, those kind of things create strain in a relationship, and it takes a lot of time and understanding to be able to mend it and still be close with that person. So please, it's very important for us to pay attention to our friends. Know when they are trying to say, don't touch my thing. And know when they are trying to let you in. Know when they want to be vulnerable and when they do not want to be vulnerable. And I believe it's going to really help us on the
Okay.
long run.
So,
So
I think another question I would like us to answer is what's the difference between boundaries and emotional walls? Do you think they are same or they are different? You know, when they are saying, when you say somebody creates an emotional wall, it's like the person is creating a whole gap. It's more than boundaries. It's like a bigger kind of limits.
but then
The person doesn't want to.
is there a trigger for that emotional wall?
There might be different reasons actually.
It
There
could
might be
be that
different
maybe from a
reasons.
previous
Yeah, experience. So
or
this friend will now create something bigger than boundaries. I'll say emotional walls are bigger than
yeah,
boundaries,
yeah.
and she's like, this is my space, don't
Yes.
come into this particular
This
space.
particular space.
So
I think just like we just finished saying, if you can pay attention enough to know when this emotional wall is being created, what I feel you can do as a friend is just make them feel that you are going to be there for whenever it is they are ready to let you in, whenever it is they are ready to bring down the wall. You know, it happens in every other aspect of our life. Sometimes it could be in a romantic relationship, maybe from your previous breakup or breakfast from previous pain you experienced, and you're trying to, sometimes you meet another guy but you just don't want him in on every other thing like you did the previous time. You're trying to be very careful and you don't want to make mistakes this time. You don't want to be vulnerable, you don't want to get hurt. One of the things I always say is just allow yourself, be yourself, and then be open to exploring who this person is, who is this person as a friend. And then for you, the friend um who the emotional wall is being built against,
Yeah.
what you can do is just pay attention and just be there for them until they are ready to bring down the wall for you to be let in. So I don't think it's the same thing, because boundaries goes all around,
Yeah.
but emotional wall is just an aspect of setting boundaries. So it's really not the same thing. But at the end of the day, just pay attention to your friends so you can be able to know how far you can go and how close you can get to that person, so you don't really cause a strain on the relationship or affect the bond that you have already.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think we should move further to also answer this question.
Okay.
Why do adult friendships look like? What is your adult friendship looking like now compared to friendships you experienced as teens or as a teenager?
Okay, I think I'll go first before you
Yeah.
go. I don't think we can even compare them. We can't really compare them equally. Growing up as a teenager, you are naive. You really do not know a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just coming into life. You're trying to understand. Your emotions are heightened. Every other thing about you at that moment is just on a high. So you kind of really go an extra mile for your friends at that age, because you don't really understand boundaries. You don't really understand that. You don't even know what is an emotional wall. You don't really understand that there are things you can do for your friends and there are things you
Yeah.
cannot do for your friends, and how you have to
Exactly.
be careful. You need to understand who this person is. The fact that you all grew up in the same circle, maybe you were family friends, you're church members and all of that, you really do not get to know this person personally until
Yeah.
years later.
Exactly.
So you can't really compare, because as a teenager you are naive, but
Yeah.
then you love deeply than you do when you're an
When you're an
adult,
adult.
because then you just want to just love this friend for who they are. But as an adult now, your understanding about life is different. You must have gone through experiences that have built you over time, and then you tend to love deeply sometimes, but then wisely.
Okay.
Yes. So there is wisdom more, and then you cannot use that wisdom to be able to love your friend
Mhm.
like you should, knowing who they are as a person this time and not just doing it because you are in the same circle. So I don't
Okay.
know what you also think about that.
Yeah, I think in friendships as teens or as teenagers, you get to want to, just like you said, want to give more, sacrifice more. You
Yes.
actually them the consequences. But when you become older, you
Another.
begin to think of, okay, how far can I go for this friend? And what is even my history with this person? I
Yes.
cannot just go all in
Yeah,
till I've
because
observed and know
that
the
this
kind of person
person
this
can
person
go.
is.
Yeah.
So in teenagehood, there is more of there's a faster connection. You really don't care about the consequences that come out
Yes.
of from the
Yes.
things you do. But when you grow older, you are now more responsible and you have
More
to now
deliberate. But
be
then,
more
do you
deliberate.
think that we have lesser friends as adults than we do as
Honestly, I
teenage?
think yes, because teenage you really flow with almost everybody.
Everybody
Everybody is your friend.
within the
You want to be
circle.
among the trending girls. You want to be among the things that are the happening girls. So really
Yes.
anybody comes in. But as you grow older, there are responsibilities. You begin to really look out for, okay, are we compatible with this person? Are we not compatible? And then when you notice that you're compatible with this person, you want to really explore more and know more about
Yes,
the
I
person.
get
But when
you.
at the onset you just notice that me and this person were two different people, you would definitely want to stay away
Yes.
and create that boundary or that
Boundaries.
wall.
Or maybe, yeah. So you know, there's an inner circle, there's an outer
There's an
circle,
outer
and then yeah,
circle.
so you tend to bring certain people into your inner circle. But then some people, they are acquaintances and they just stay around you. And as an adult, you get to sieve your friends. Just
Yeah.
like she said earlier, you get to sieve them. You're more deliberate about your friendship. So you know that it's not everybody that would be in your circle. It's not everybody
Exactly.
that you need to be your friend. And like we said earlier in the previous episode, that it's not necessary for you to have an age limit,
Limit.
because even as you grow older, you find people that are years younger than you,
Yeah.
that are sound, and they have that understanding of friendship that you have, and they go in line with your focus or your purpose. I used to always say that in life we get to choose one thing or two things, maybe the person you marry and your friends, but then your family, you don't get to choose them. That's why we're stuck with our siblings. Whether we like it or not, they are there to oppress
Yeah.
us and disturb us for the rest of our lives. But our friends, we get to choose them. So it's something that you have to be deliberate,
Deliberate
So
about.
you are not now giving 2% of yourself. You
Yeah.
are sure that this person I'm going all in for, will go all in for me. They people used to post usually on social media that the person that is your best friend, you might not be the person's best friend. And
Yeah.
it happens a lot, especially in female relationships. That's why you find ladies being very careful with being, and I'm sure it's part of the reason why the other lady commented on Facebook that they do
Yeah.
not believe in, because
Female
you find people
friendships.
complaining about ladies who took their man, ladies who took their best friend, ladies who took
They
their
did a lot of
fathers,
things. Yeah.
all of that. So it kind of creates, but
A lot
that's why
of
it's
things.
important that you know who this person
Person
is.
is.
Try to know them. Don't just meet someone and suddenly just go all in. Try to understand them, whether you've known them from years, began, or your family friends. Do not carry the notion of family friends. Get to know them as a person. And I believe
Okay.
you'll be able to have an amazing friendship with this person.
Yeah. All right.
So,
So let's proceed. So why do friendships fade even when nothing goes wrong? So why do we have friendships fading even when nothing goes wrong? Do you think that something has to go wrong before a
before,
friendship
I
fades?
think lack of communication.
Very important.
Lack of
It's one of the
communication,
reasons.
because as we grow, we change cities, we
Yeah.
get married, we go
A lot
to
of things
school,
happens.
so many things happen that we don't get to communicate every day. Like, we don't get to communicate today, tomorrow, next tomorrow. So
Yeah.
if there is no effort of
From
putting
the
in that
other side.
communication, I think this is applicable to every other thing, even
Exactly.
with romantic relationships. Communication is an important key, because
Ah,
that's how best you can know a person and their dynamics, who they are today, who they are tomorrow,
yeah.
who they will be next tomorrow, and all of that. So I think communication, for me, communication is the key.
Okay. And then I think at times too, I think we'll come to that, but at times too, responsibilities and distance. There are so many factors that can actually, but it's the intention to really want to
To still
communicate
keep
or to
up.
still want to keep up with this friend
Yes, do
that
you
matters
rate
at the
this
most. So
person?
you might be in two different cities.
Yeah.
The way we have maybe US and Nigeria has two different time zones.
Mm,
But if you're intentional, you really
that's
want to hear from your friend and
yes, that
all of that.
intention is,
But if there is no intention, you get overwhelmed, get carried away, and
yeah, yeah.
the friendship
So
is.
does that mean do you need to communicate with your friend every day to maintain friendship?
It doesn't really has to be an everyday communication, but just be intentional about communicating. That's really
Yes.
what matters. I have people, or I would say I have friends that you don't talk every day, but we really
Whenever
set
you
out
meet.
time. We talk.
Yes,
It
yes,
might
I
be
think
weekly, it might be bi-weekly, it might be monthly self, but you
yeah,
know that you're keeping up that communication.
that is
Not the one you
deliberate
just go you go silent on each other for
for
years
years
and
now.
for months and you say that person is your friend.
So I think maybe there should be a time frame for how far you can really go. There
Yeah.
should be a time frame. Like I said, there are friends in the inner circle and there are friends on the outer circle.
Yeah.
So wherever you place these friends determine how far you can go. Friends in the inner circle are people that know literally everything that goes on around. You might not talk every day, but you know that in a week you would have spoken
Spoken
for
once
maybe
or
two or three
twice.
times and all. Then there are friends in the outer circle that probably because of work and you don't really get to converse a lot of
Yeah.
responsibilities like you mentioned. It might take maybe a week or 2 weeks, but then it shouldn't take up to 3 months
Before you talk to
before
your
you talk
friend.
to your friend. Then
No,
that
come on.
person is not your friend anymore. They are just people you know. People you just know around. Like, I have this very good friend that we went secondary school with and we went to the same university also,
Okay.
and we've been able to carry on with that friendship. I think in secondary school we're not really very close, but we knew each other. Like, we had certain classes we did together, so we just knew each other basically. Then in uni we met and then we became closer. But then after school, she moved to another city and was working. And we don't talk all the time, but anytime we get to talk, we talk until our airtime gets exhausted. Like, so there are people, there are friends that
Yeah.
you can keep. It doesn't have to be an everyday conversation that you have to keep talking, but having something in common that makes that, no matter how far you get, is always something that would bring you back together to talk. It's very important. So I think yes, why do friendships fade even when, okay, we've just answered that. Why do career, marriage, or motherhood affect female relationships?
Yes, honestly, I would say marriage, motherhood. It's a whole new journey. So when you're getting married, it might be possible that you're not even getting married in the same city
Mm,
like your friend. It might be possible that you're not even getting married in the same country like your friend. So, like I said, it's not actually meant to separate the friendship. For some people, motherhood is, I would say that for everyone, motherhood is a whole new journey. Parenthood is a whole new journey.
isn't
So, you just have to be intentional. It's not always easy. It might be that you're moving to a different culture, you're moving to a different settings, especially for people that migrate and go to a different culture and a
yeah,
different community and a different nation. You have to just be intentional.
you have
So
to.
that's where the intention, being intentional, comes in. If you're not intentional, definitely there will be a gap in your friendship and
Yeah,
you might end up losing your friend. So parenthood can get overwhelming. There are times that marriages can and your marriage can get challenging and all of time. In fact, that's where you even need more of your friends, so that when you're going through this phase, you have
you're
somebody that
able
is like a
to.
backup and there's like a support for you. But when you want to do it alone, that is when you end up struggling and having a lot of challenges.
So,
Yeah.
so that means it's a two-way thing. You who is the mother and the friend who is not the mother have to both be intentional to put in
Yeah.
the effort. So for single ladies that usually get married and just feel like they don't want to have anything to do with
Exactly. That
their
is,
single friends,
of
you
course.
often do that, and then when the singles now back off, then it looks like they are not trying to. Most of the
Connect
time
with
we do these things unconsciously.
you.
But I believe it's one of the reasons why we're having these discussions. Please, if you really want to maintain
The
your
friendship.
friendships with your female friends, it's really important that as much as we are pursuing career, we are pursuing marriage, we become mothers, we become wives, and we have responsibilities. It would not hurt to sometimes go the extra mile to reach out to some of these your female friends. Some of them may be feeling that you're just trying to stay away from them, and then they try to just back off. But it's really important that we try to make this conscious effort, reach out to them. And for you who is a mother, reach out. And for you who is just the friend that needs to reach out to a friend who is married, also do your part. Then if you don't get the same energy back, then you
Yeah.
can as well as just give them the space they need. But we shouldn't let career, marriage and motherhood break our friendship, because then how do we learn from each other? If you're a mother now, you're in the right position to
Yeah.
give me advice, because I'm coming into it newly, but you've been there.
Yeah.
That's why we are losing the place of mentorship for the ladies, because we always do that. But then if we still stay connected, even in a circle, by the time we have two three of us that are married, have gone through the responsibility, when some other people are coming up, you are in the best position to talk to them about it and give them certain tips that would help them have a better home also. So
Yeah, okay. I think before we proceed, there's a question that just popped into my mind. So, what do you talk about? Okay, couples that maybe the husband would say that stay away from your friends. No, no matter how we try to avoid this, it's a very important topic. You
it
might get
happens
married today, and then
actually,
your partner is saying that
to
I
have
don't
a
want you to
relationship.
keep this set of friends again because you are now a married woman. What do you have to say as a result of that? Are you, because I've seen ladies that actually struggle with this a lot.
Yeah,
Good and fine, what God has joined together, let
let
no
no man
man
put
put
us under.
asunder. But what do? You've known this lady for years. You've known this lady for years,
Mm,
and then you meet somebody, you fall in love with the person, and all of a sudden, this your
the
partner
now
is saying,
husband.
and your now husband is saying, put the gap. So you find yourself in a dilemma.
Yeah,
What advice do you have to say
I
about
think
that?
I think basically I would say it must have begun even in the relationship.
Yeah.
So probably as a lady who okay, we as believers, for example, we know we
Yeah.
have to submit to the head, and that's a different thing, and that's a different topic. But then it's important that you. I think what people don't do is they don't bring their friends into the circle. And I'm glad we're even talking about boundaries today. You don't They don't bring their friends into knowing their partner as a friend. Like, your partner should know that I am your friend, not
Yeah.
suddenly he just pops up. So if he knows that I am your friend, and over time he has seen the positive things we do together, the positive influence I have on you and you have on me, a normal sane man shouldn't say that.
You should
But in
stay.
the case where he says so, even though you know that your friend, her head is okay, and the husband is the one saying that you should stay away from your friend, maybe you should try and understand his reasons why. Probably there might be something you don't know, ladies. It could be something that he saw. You should get to hear from him and find out what are his reasons for saying that. It might be from a place of concern. Maybe there's something he notices and he doesn't want it to affect you as a person, or even affect your home as a couple. So it's important you just get to hear from him what are his reasons. If his reasons sounds
Valid.
genuine,
Yeah.
if it's valid enough, I wouldn't want you to disobey your husband. But if it will bring peace to you that you have to stay away from this person, you can just create a space. Maybe not entirely not talking to the person completely, but create a space gradually. If your friend is an understanding lady, you
Yeah.
can even tell her
And
that
explain to her.
this is what it doesn't mean that you do not appreciate the friendship, but it might not be the way it is. I'm sure with time and with prayers, your husband will come around.
I actually like the fact that you spoke about dialogue. Like, dialogue is very important in a relationship, or whether it's marriage, or is it okay to outgrow friends? Do you think it's
Um,
okay to outgrow friends?
yeah, it's really okay to outgrow friends, whether we like it or not. We eventually grow out. We evolve, like human beings evolve over time. You you change perspective, you change likes, you even change your dreams and visions. Like growing up, every science student wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah.
We all wanted to be a doctor, but now this is me here, not a doctor yet. So it's so just like how we grow out of our passion, we grow out of our desires. It's a normal thing for you to grow to outgrow your friends. But then one of the things that I would just encourage you to do is we don't outgrow your friends abruptly. I think I saw a write-up one time and they were talking about a couple of people that were doing it big in the industry, in the business
Yeah.
industry, and they were talking about how within their circle they had about 70% that were their childhood friends. They were people they met growing up, people that they knew over time and held on to each other until they were able to even start up something together, like start up a community together. Like you and I now, we have a small organization we are trying to bring up, of course, and it takes it takes an understanding of
Yeah.
being friends.
Together.
We've been friends, we knew each other since we were children, and over time we grew up, yes, but then we didn't just outgrow ourselves suddenly like that. As
Yeah.
much as it has to do with is this person compatible with me, and all for we to be able to work together. So I know we will outgrow friends, whether we like it or not, but we shouldn't just do it abruptly like that. Still create room for your friends to come in, so long as they are not affecting you negatively or they're not draining you away. If they have a positive impact on you, do not just feel because you are older or because now we are not children anymore want to just outgrow them. So that's just all I have to say. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I think you actually said it all. People outgrow friends. It might be in different aspects. So just try as much as possible when
To
you
do it
outgrow,
gracefully.
yeah, when you're outgrowing friends, to do it gracefully. Don't just come out blunt and say, and then make your friend
I'm no
begin
longer
to
on your level
question.
anymore.
Yeah, begin to question a lot of things, a lot of
Yes,
realities.
yes.
So
So it's
the
important we
essence
create
is to
rooms,
communicate
just
well.
create rooms for people to grow. People might not grow at our pace like we do, but
Yeah.
it's important we allow these people also grow at their pace and we accept them. Just like how we have people who are growing at a pace higher than us, but they still
Yeah.
keep us in the circle. So it's very important too. So I think with that we've come to the end of this episode.
Yeah.
It was a nice conversation talking about boundaries and the modern sisterhood. So I don't know if you have any word for them out there.
Yeah. So keep watching, keep subscribing, and we'll see you in our next episode.
Thank you,
Bye.
and keep bringing your reviews in. We like the reviews we've been getting, so please keep it up. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye.